Part 1. The Dark Truth About Human Nature. Life becomes much easier when we understand why people behave the way they do. Every person, no matter where they come from or what kind of life they have lived, will eventually meet difficult people. Some of these people may be bosses who constantly criticize others, co-workers who secretly try to ruin someone's success, friends who only care about themselves, or even family members who create unnecessary drama. At first, these people often appear kind, confident, intelligent, and trustworthy. They know exactly how to make a good first impression. They smile, compliment us, tell exciting stories, and make us believe they have good intentions. Because of this, we trust them. We believe they are honest and that they want the best for everyone. However, after spending more time with them, we slowly discover that the person we thought we knew is completely different. Instead of supporting us, they compete with us. Instead of helping us grow, they try to pull us down. They may spread rumors, take credit for our hard work, manipulate situations, or blame other people whenever something goes wrong. By the time we realize what kind of person they truly are, the damage has already been done. We feel disappointed, confused, hurt, and even angry because we never expected someone to behave this way. We start asking ourselves many questions. How did I not notice the warning signs? Why did I trust them so easily? Why does this keep happening to me? Sadly, these situations happen to almost everyone because most people judge others only by what they see on the surface instead of trying to understand what is happening underneath. At the same time, other people are not the only mystery in our lives. Sometimes we become confused by our own actions. There are moments when we suddenly say something rude to someone we care about even though we never meant to hurt them. Sometimes we become extremely angry over a very small problem. Other times we become excited about an idea or project that seems amazing at first, but later we realize it was a complete waste of our time and energy. We may also fall in love with someone who is clearly not right for us. Deep inside, we know the relationship is unhealthy, but we still cannot stop ourselves from wanting that person. Later, when everything falls apart, we look back and wonder why we ignored all the warning signs. We ask ourselves why we made decisions that now seem so foolish. It feels as if another person was controlling our actions. We often tell ourselves that we were not thinking clearly, or that something came over us. These moments remind us that there are parts of our own minds that we do not fully understand. Most people prefer simple explanations because they are comfortable. If someone lies, we simply call them a bad person. If someone cheats, we label them selfish. If we make a mistake ourselves, we often blame stress, bad luck, or difficult circumstances. These explanations make us feel better for a short time, but they do not help us understand what really happened. Because we never learn the deeper reasons behind people's behavior, we continue making the same mistakes over and over again. We trust the wrong people. We enter unhealthy relationships. We choose poor business partners. We become emotionally attached to people who only use us for their own benefit. Then, when another similar situation appears later in life, we repeat the same cycle because we never understood the lesson hidden inside the previous experience. The truth is that every human being has emotions, fears, desires, insecurities, and hidden motivations that influence almost every decision they make. Most of these forces work quietly beneath the surface without us even realizing it. Imagine an iceberg floating in the ocean. Only a small part of the iceberg is visible above the water. The much larger part remains hidden underneath. Human behavior works in exactly the same way. What people say and do is only the small visible part. Their childhood experiences, fears, emotional wounds, dreams, jealousy, pride, loneliness, and insecurities remain hidden below the surface. Since we cannot see these hidden parts, we often misunderstand people completely. Someone who constantly brags about being successful may actually feel deeply insecure inside. Someone who criticizes everyone else may secretly hate themselves. A person who always acts strong and fearless may be terrified of failure. The behavior we see is usually only the result of much deeper emotional forces that have been growing inside that person for many years. If we could learn to understand these hidden forces, our lives would become much easier. Imagine being able to recognize a manipulative person before they gain your trust. Imagine knowing when someone is pretending to be kind only because they want something from you. Imagine understanding why certain people become jealous whenever someone else succeeds. Imagine recognizing the early signs that a friendship or relationship is becoming toxic before it destroys your peace of mind. This kind of understanding would protect us from countless painful experiences. Instead of reacting emotionally every time someone hurts us, we would begin to observe their behavior more carefully. We would notice patterns instead of isolated events. We would stop believing every excuse people give for their actions because we would understand that people often create stories to make themselves look innocent. Once we understand the deeper reasons behind human behavior, it becomes much harder for manipulative people to control us. Understanding ourselves is just as important as understanding others. Every person has emotional patterns that repeat throughout life. Some people become angry whenever they feel ignored. Others become anxious whenever they think they might fail. Some constantly compare themselves with others and never feel satisfied with what they have. Others desperately seek attention because they believe they are only valuable when people admire them. These emotional patterns usually begin much earlier in life than we realize. Childhood experiences, family relationships, painful memories, and personal failures slowly shape the way we think and react as adults. Most people never stop to examine these patterns. Instead, they simply react automatically whenever certain situations appear. They do not realize they are repeating the same emotional habits over and over again. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing they are always acting logically. We like to think that every decision we make is carefully planned, but in reality our emotions often make decisions long before our logical mind becomes involved. For example, when someone insults us, we immediately feel anger before we have time to think. When someone praises us, we instantly feel happy. When we see another person's success, we may suddenly feel jealous without wanting to admit it. These emotional reactions happen so quickly that they seem automatic. Only afterward do we create logical explanations to justify what we already felt. This means that many of our decisions are influenced by emotions we barely notice. The more we understand these emotional forces, the more control we gain over our own lives. Instead of letting emotions control us, we begin noticing them, understanding them, and choosing better responses. This is one of the most valuable lessons we can ever learn. Human nature affects every part of our lives, including our friendships, relationships, careers, businesses, and personal happiness. The people who understand human behavior are usually calmer, wiser, and much harder to manipulate. They do not panic when others become emotional. They recognize that behind every action there is usually a hidden reason. They spend less time judging people and more time observing them. They also become more honest with themselves because they understand that they are not perfect either. Like everyone else, they have weaknesses, fears, emotional blind spots, and habits they must continue improving. This kind of self-awareness is not a weakness. It is one of the greatest strengths a person can develop because it allows them to grow, make better decisions, build healthier relationships, and avoid many of the mistakes that keep other people trapped in the same painful cycles throughout their lives. Part 2. The Psychology of Influence, Manipulation and Self-Control. As we begin to understand ourselves and the people around us, one important question naturally comes to mind. Why do human beings behave this way in the first place? Why do we become jealous when someone else succeeds? Why do we sometimes become angry over very small things? Why do we often care so much about what other people think of us? Why do we feel the need to compare ourselves with others, even when our own lives are going well? The answer is much deeper than most people realize. These behaviors did not suddenly appear in modern society. They are the result of millions of years of human evolution. Long before cities, schools, businesses, or even written language existed, our ancestors lived in small groups where survival depended on working together. Every single day they faced dangers that most of us will never experience. Wild animals, starvation, disease, harsh weather, and conflicts with other groups were part of everyday life. A single mistake could mean death. Because survival was so difficult, the human brain slowly developed certain habits and emotional responses that helped our ancestors stay alive. These instincts became deeply wired into our minds over countless generations. Even though the world has changed dramatically, our brains still carry many of these ancient survival systems. This is why people living in the modern world often react emotionally in ways that seem irrational. Our technology has advanced quickly, but our basic human nature has changed very little. One of the most important abilities our ancestors developed was the ability to understand other people's emotions without using words. Before language became advanced, people had to communicate through facial expressions, body language, eye contact, and tone of voice. Imagine a group of early humans hunting together. If one person suddenly looked frightened, everyone else needed to notice immediately because danger could be nearby. If someone looked excited after finding food, others understood that there was hope for survival. If a member of the group became angry, everyone had to recognize it quickly to avoid conflict. Because of this, human beings became extremely sensitive to the emotions of others. Our brains learn to copy the feelings of the people around us almost automatically. This ability helped groups stay united and increased their chances of survival. Even today, we experience the same phenomenon. If everyone around us is laughing, we often begin laughing too. If we enter a room where everyone looks nervous, we may suddenly start feeling anxious ourselves without knowing why. If thousands of people online become angry about a certain topic, many others quickly join the outrage without fully understanding the facts. Emotions spread from person to person almost like a contagious virus. Most people believe they are thinking independently, but very often they are simply absorbing the emotional atmosphere around them without realizing it. This is why crowds can become extremely excited, fearful, or even violent within a very short time. Human beings are far more emotionally connected than they like to admit. Another ancient instinct that still controls us is our constant desire to compare ourselves with other people. Long ago, status inside a tribe was extremely important. A person who was respected usually had better access to food, protection, and opportunities to find a mate. Those who had very low status often struggled to survive. Because of this, the human brain learned to constantly measure where we stood compared to everyone else. Although we no longer live in small tribes hunting for food, this instinct never disappeared. Today we compare our salary, appearance, education, relationships, social media followers, cars, houses, vacations, and achievements. Even when we have enough to live comfortably, we may still feel unhappy simply because someone else seems to have more. This constant comparison creates jealousy, insecurity, and dissatisfaction. Many people spend years chasing success not because they truly want it, but because they want to feel superior to others. They believe that if they earn more money, own a bigger house, or become more famous, they will finally feel happy. Unfortunately, comparison never ends. There will always be someone richer, smarter, stronger, or more successful. Unless we understand this ancient instinct, we may spend our entire lives chasing approval instead of genuine fulfillment. Human beings also develop strong tribal instincts. Thousands of years ago, belonging to a group was necessary for survival. Living alone usually meant certain death. As a result, our brains became programmed to quickly divide people into two simple categories: us and them. Anyone inside our group felt familiar and trustworthy, while outsiders were often viewed with suspicion. Although modern society is much more connected than ancient tribes, this habit still influences our thinking every day. We naturally support people who share our beliefs, background, favorite sports team, political opinions, religion, or culture. At the same time, we may become unfairly critical of those who seem different from us. Social media has made this tendency even stronger. Instead of listening to different viewpoints, many people spend their time surrounded only by others who already agree with them. This creates online communities where people repeat the same opinions until they believe anyone who disagrees must be wrong or even dangerous. These emotional divisions create unnecessary hatred and conflict. Many arguments today are not based on facts but on tribal loyalty. People defend their group simply because it is their group, not because it is always right. Understanding this instinct helps us become more open-minded and less controlled by emotional group thinking. Another important part of human nature is the mask we wear in front of other people. Very few people show the world exactly who they are. From childhood we learn that certain emotions and behaviors are accepted while others are criticized or punished. Because of this, we slowly create a public version of ourselves. We smile even when we feel sad. We pretend to be confident even when we feel afraid. We act generous even when we secretly feel jealous. We hide anger behind polite words. We hide insecurity behind arrogance. We hide loneliness behind constant entertainment. Over many years this public mask becomes so natural that we sometimes forget we are wearing it. Deep inside, however, our hidden emotions never completely disappear. They remain buried beneath the surface, waiting for moments of stress, frustration, or temptation to reveal themselves. This hidden side of our personality explains why good people sometimes behave badly, why calm people suddenly explode with anger, or why someone who seems humble suddenly becomes arrogant after gaining power. Every person has a hidden side. Recognizing this does not mean becoming cynical or believing everyone is bad. Instead, it reminds us that human beings are complex. No one is completely good or completely bad. We all carry strengths and weaknesses within us, and understanding this makes us wiser and more compassionate toward ourselves and others. For thousands of years people tried to explain these darker parts of human behavior using myths, spirits, or demons. Whenever someone acted cruelly or irrationally, people often believed that an evil force had taken control of them. Even today we still use similar expressions without thinking. We say things like, "I wasn't myself," or "something came over me." While these phrases may describe how we feel, they do not explain what actually happened. the truth is usually much simpler. Hidden emotions that have been building inside us for years finally rise to the surface. Fear, resentment, pride, loneliness, insecurity, or envy become so strong that they temporarily overpower our logical thinking. Instead of understanding these emotions, most people create excuses to protect their self-image. They blame stress, other people, bad luck, or circumstances. As a result, they never truly solve the problem. They repeat the same mistakes because they never examine the deeper emotional causes behind their behavior. Real growth begins only when we become honest enough to ask ourselves difficult questions. Why did that situation make me so angry? Why do I always react this way? What fear is hiding beneath my emotions? When we start asking these questions, we begin understanding ourselves instead of simply defending ourselves. That self-awareness gives us the power to change. The greatest lesson is that human nature is neither our enemy nor our destiny. These instincts evolved to help our ancestors survive, but in today's world they can sometimes create unnecessary problems if we allow them to control us without question. Once we recognize that our emotions, comparisons, tribal loyalties, insecurities, and hidden desires are natural parts of being human, we stop feeling ashamed of them and start learning from them. Instead of being controlled by every emotion, we begin observing our reactions before acting. Instead of blindly following the crowd, we think for ourselves. Instead of comparing our lives with everyone else's, we focus on becoming a better version of ourselves. This is the beginning of real wisdom. The person who understands human nature is not someone who never feels jealousy, anger, fear, or insecurity. It is someone who notices these emotions, understands where they come from, and chooses not to let them control every decision. That awareness becomes one of the greatest strengths anyone can develop, because it allows us to build healthier relationships, make wiser decisions, and live with far greater peace and confidence.